Hope you're having a good day. Today I'm going to look at some Moringa seedlings. Here's two of them, obviously in the same pot. I've been growing these from seed. I actually got some seed about a year ago. I think that seed was ready. It just never germinated. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Things just, I don't really know why it didn't. It just didn't. But then last year, like around, I guess it was early winter, I started noticing that these kind of, if you look around here in South Florida, they're actually growing all over the place, on the side of the road, everywhere. They kind of blend in with the tropical trees, but then also in the, with their compound leaves, and they look just like everything around them. But then in the winter, you start seeing these white flowers on them, and they look, completely different from anything else that actually has, the same type of leaves or whatever at that point. So I started picking them out. And I got a seed pod. They were way too green. I got another seed pod just from the same tree, and they were ready. And I've gotten, I got 10 to germinate. I got 9 still alive. I'm not really sure what happened with the 10th one. I kind of lost track of things as we've been going along or whatever. These two I've been doing a little experimenting with, in that this one I've actually topped a few times. And you can see it's kind of branching out a little bit and everything, but it's weaker than this one. This one I've actually removed bottom leaves, kind of, when you do this or whatever. Just taking the bottom leaves off. I do eat these things straight off the tree. They taste terrible. But that's the other thing I was going to talk about. These things in general are supposed to have all kinds of health benefits. It's supposed to even help your hair grow back, but it's not working for me yet. But anyhow, I'm going to take a look at these guys today. I have these two in the same pot. I'd like to separate them and do some of these first. A couple of them I might leave just in the container I got them in now. This one I'm probably gonna leave in the container I got it in now. Just not a bad size. It's actually growing pretty decent. This one you can see I've actually topped it there. I topped it there, and it's got two. They always get 2 branches any place that you top them almost. Sorry about that. They get 2 branches almost everywhere you top them. As I look at these two, I got to separate two. These two are in the same pot. Some of these, I've been clipping the lower branches. Some of them I've been topping. This one I've been topping. Isn't really doing all that great. It's in one of these tiny pots. And that's what I'm going to start with. I'm going to start with, I got these two in the smallest pots. I know I'm just going to just generally up pot them, and then as I up pot this thing, I do these with the tropicals. See, it's still all green, almost like succulent type green. I try to exercise it both ways. I did hear it crack just a little bit, but the main thing I want to do right away is I want to see. I've heard that when you read about these, they say they're impossible to bonsai because of the compound leaves. And the fact that they get a really aggressive taproot. I am kind of growing them. These things I mentioned earlier, that all parts of them are edible or whatever. I mean, you can eat the leaves. I guess the seed pods, the young seed pods are used in like Indian cooking, some kind of curry dish or something like that. And then the old seeds, the ones that are actually ready to plant and everything, those can actually be ground up and made into moringa powder. And again, everything's got all, every part of it has all kinds of health benefits. I guess even eating the roots has some other special little health benefit. So I just want to see what these roots look like. And I figure since I'm going to up pot it, I'll just tease it out of here and see what it looks like. Plenty of fine roots around the edge. I don't really see a big aggressive taproot yet. That does worry me. I mean, it doesn't, but with those fine roots all around the edge like that, that does kind of worry me that the ones that are planted in the same pot may be tangled up together pretty well. I'm actually really happy with that root structure there. Now, when I planted these, my seedling mix is basically like used bonsai substrate. And generally that will also have a little bit of the sand from my yard in there. It'll have a little bit of the original potting mix that may have been in with my trees when I bought them, either from the bonsai nursery or from Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever it is I'm getting things from. And then I use in some of my succulents and things like that or whatever. I use Miracle Grow cactus mix, and then sometimes some of that gets mixed in there. I never reuse soil from like a dead or dying trees or anything like that. You always want to, reuse stuff from something that was healthy. You're repotting it, and with the purpose of getting all the old peat base mixed out of there and everything. Since these are still seedlings, I'm still going to be planting them in the same mixture. A friend gave me these. I don't even remember what was in them. Nice idea, white pots, just to keep from getting too much heat. But I figure it's a little bit bigger than I really even needed. But the way those roots are and everything, that should explore out there. I'm going to plant it maybe a little bit deep in there, just in case it does take hold and start getting really, really tall. That way it won't be quite so top heavy. I won't worry about a screen or anything because I don't keep these directly on the ground. I understand, eventually I'm going to plant a couple of them in the ground, but I do understand they can be susceptible to nematodes and everything, so I've been trying to keep them up off the ground. I usually do some of this with my hand when I move soil around, but I keep my used bonsai substrate outside, and it's rained now for like 3 days in a row. It's actually really poured now for like 3 days in a row. And that's actually another reason why these trees look so healthy right now. Alright, that should be just about high enough there. If that was probably in the pot for maybe another 3 or 4 months, I might have felt the need to tease those out. But those are so fine. Once they start feeling some new soil on the outside of them, they'll be fine. Of course, I talk about how I wasn't going to use my hands, and then I use my hands. Alright, that should be good. I'm not even gonna, some of these, if I have to get rough with those that I separate, I'll probably take a good portion of the leaves off just to take some of the load off the tree. But since that really was just a slip pot, I'm not gonna worry about it on that one. Alright, and this one's a little bit of a runt here, so I got just a slightly bigger pot for that. I don't want to over pot them too much. That other one really wasn't even all that pot bound yet or anything. I think there's actually a seed casing from one that didn't germinate. When I put these in, I probably had 20 some seeds. I kind of put 2 or 3 in some of the pots, obviously. And doesn't even need to be any deeper than that. A little bit wider for it, some extra room for those roots to explore out to. I like some of these pots like that. They're a little bit wider and flat like that too. Keeps a nice low center of gravity for them. Alright, and then I got these two here. Now these two, I'm a little bit worried about whether or not I can keep them both alive. From everything I've watched some of my own videos to just kind of, or not some of my own videos, obviously other people's videos or whatever, but I've watched some videos to try to, just see how they react, and that's actually why I've been experimenting. Like this one I've actually cut off quite a bit. This one too, actually. This one, see, it's got 2 branches there. This one's got like 2, but then this one kind of took over as a apex, so I knocked that off. And so what I was thinking, this one's a little bit stronger, thicker and stronger, and I've actually seen where they say if you just cut them all the way off, they'll regrow. If they don't come out of the end right there, they'll actually come out of the root base there or whatever. I'll go ahead and eat that whole thing. This one I'll try, so that one I'm just going to leave in that pot. And then this one I'm going to try to, I can separate it. And roots are definitely intertwined together. That came out of there a little bit cleaner than I thought it would. And what I did there, I had a couple inches of soil in there already. And then I just kind of flopped it on in there. And then now it's really low. So if it does get weak and wants to try to lean on one side of it or whatever, it can for a bit. And then once I realize, you know, like I said, if it makes it, it may or may not make it. But if it makes it, it should, you know, eventually, once it recovers, go through a big spurt. And then I can just pull it out of there and add a little bit more soil in the bottom at some point. Video I saw that said that these will just regrow from the stump will. So I'll just leave that one alone until I notice it either recovers or doesn't. All right, and then I got these two. These two I'm going to do a little bit differently. This one, you know, they're far enough apart. This one is the one I'm going to just try to leave in the pot here. I don't know if I'm going to cut it all the way down to nothing, but I know I am going to at least take off just the barely bottom set of leaves. And I'm going to do, probably going to take that off there. I'm going to try one swipe in with my little shovel. I wish I had one of these that was just a little bit smaller. And then don't feel like I really disturbed that one too much, but I also feel like the way that those ones looked in the smaller pots, that should have come off with a little more of a root ball, but we'll see what happens there. All right, and here's a little bonus oak that I didn't even mention I was going to do. Not sure if I'm into really keeping too many more oaks in little small pots. I got one that I bought as a pre-bonsai kind of a thing. I'm really happy with that one. I got another seedling that was actually this size about a year ago. It's gotten a lot bigger. And then I got this guy here. I was going to try to leave this one in here till next spring. But I noticed that it just stopped growing out of the top. Now that easily could have been a critter that came along and bit that off or something like that. But it's also, you know, this thing only has soil up to there. And they really do grow quite vigorously. So again, I'd like for this to be just a slip pot. And then just use the better stuff up here on top. Of course, that could have been another reason it got kind of stunted there. It was kind of growing in poor conditions. Didn't disturb it too much. Didn't really have very good ball going in the pot there.